There are movies coming out in 2026. You'll say, oh, is this one coming out too? A year full of sequels, long-awaited comebacks, and brand new projects that excite you, even when you first hear about them, awaits us. You won't want to miss this list that will make you want to discover more as you get more curious. Let's get started, but before we start, subscribe to the channel and don't forget to turn on notifications for more content like this. 1. The Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping. This film takes place exactly 24 years before Katniss, during the 50th Hunger Games. The lead role is played by Haymitch Abernathy, a young man we know from the original series. The struggle for survival, the Capitol's brutal control, and the first sparks of the rebellion take shape in this story. Were you wondering how Haymitch survived these games? Here's the answer in this film. This production, which opens the door to both a familiar universe and a brand new era, adds a completely different depth to the series. Second Dune 3: Messiah. 12 years have passed. Paul Atreides is now the Emperor, but this empire is not magnificent. It is at the center of a brutal, holy war that went down in history with the loss of 61 billion lives. The story that will continue immediately after Dune. Part 2 awaits us on a dark, inner, and political journey. Paul's power comes at a heavy price. He and his circle are being held accountable. The sparks of the rebellion have not yet been extinguished, and surprise, Duncan Idaho, played by Jason Momoa, returns as a clone. Nakoa Wolf Momoa and Ida Brooke will play Paul's children, Leto 2 and Ghanima, which means a significant time jump. The atmosphere is also enhanced by Hans Zimmer's score, but they will have to pay attention to the Oscar rules. There are many questions waiting for us in this film. Will Paul's legitimate leadership be redemptive, or will it lead to destruction? What will the clone version of Duncan Idaho bring? How will the story of Leto and Ghanima take shape? And the most important question, how will Villeneuve reflect Herbert's darker and more visceral novel in an action saga? 3. Ice Age 6. It was once said that this series would not continue, because in 2021, Blue Sky Studios closed and the creative home of Ice Age disappeared. The animation world was shocked. Fans were worried. However, in a surprise move, Disney officially announced the project at D23 Brazil 2024. All the original voices of the series, Manny, Sid, Diego, Ellie, and Buck, are returning. This return has rekindled both nostalgia and a sense of family togetherness. What are we waiting for? Our characters are coming together once again. Old friendships, new adventures. Although the animation team has changed, the quality has not been forgotten with the experience of the short films and spin-offs released on Disney+. So, Ice Age 6 is not just a sequel, it is a return that both continues the legacy of the past and opens the door to a new generation after a long break. Of course, there are questions like, will Scrat and Baby Scrat return, or will the magic of Blue Sky continue with Disney, are still hanging in the air. 4. Spider-Man Brand. New Day. This film, which will meet the audience again in 2026, is a new beginning story after No Way Home. Peter Parker now keeps his identity secret, works at the Bugle, and rebuilds his life. This is exactly the beginning of a new beginning, a brand new day. Will the Sinister Six come? It is claimed that the film will feature 3 villains named Scorpion, Boomerang, and Tombstone. This trio, along with other names such as Mr. Negative, could be the Sinister Six of the MCU. What else do we expect? The film is currently being talked about with a third-tier villain concept. Polygon and other sources have many satirical elements from the Punisher to the Hulk. However, the only foreign character officially announced at this stage is the Punisher. Marvel is reshaping the world Peter encounters with a brand new beginning. 5. Toy Story 5. Woody was gone. Buzz was left. The toys were scattered. Everyone went their separate ways. And then Pixar opened that magic box again. Toy Story 5 is coming. And this is not just a sequel. This is a journey where toys will face technology, oblivion, and maybe each other again. While Woody and Jessie are searching for their way in a brand new world, Buzz is getting back on his feet like an old hero. But the real question is, does Bonnie still love toys? Or is everything now just a screen? Pixar touches both nostalgia and today's realities by saying, toy meets tech. Toys are now fighting in the shadow of screens. not children. So will this be a farewell? Or is it the beginning of a new era? Toy Story 5 feels like a letter written not only to children, but to all of us who have to grow up. We will get the answer in the cinema on June 19th, 2026. But one thing is certain, you will not want to miss this adventure.
6. Avengers: Doomsday. Everything was created to come here. The multiverse has been shattered, reality has cracked, and now the greatest conflict in Marvel history begins. Avengers: Doomsday is on the verge of a brand new era. Doctor Doom is taking the stage. But will it be a familiar face, claims that Robert Downey Jr., who said goodbye as Tony Stark, will return this time with the Doom armor wreaking havoc. The cast of the film is like a dream. Magneto, Professor X, and Nightcrawler from the X-Men universe are returning. The Fantastic Four, the Thunderbolts, the Warriors of Wakanda. In short, everyone is here. But there is something missing. Steve Rogers. Who will survive and who will say goodbye in this film? Where even Chris Evans said, "They didn't call me." Doomsday is not just a finale. It could be the beginning of new wars. According to some theories, this film will unite all the last remaining heroes before the secret wars on the same front. But what if everything is part of Doom's plan? Avengers: Doomsday is coming to theaters at the end of 2026, and maybe this time, no one will be coming back. Here is part 1. If you want to see more of the series, don't forget to like and say, "Let's continue," in the comments. Which movie are you most curious about? Which one do you think will be the highlight of the year? Part 2 is coming very soon, depending on your reactions. Stay tuned, because this is just the beginning.